welcome in. I am Miss Kinghorn and we are back here in another Red Lane Zoo, and this time we are working on an Tamworth Pig habitat. So these cute little ones came with the new Barnyard animal pack in here, which we're using quite a lot of recently. I think like the last 3 videos have all been about these animals because this is really what we're working on. So any of you who didn't already see, we kind of made our own petting zoo because I totally dismissed the fact that we were going to get a petting zoo because it was so out there, and so I just never expected to get one. So we had added a few animals in, and then surprise, we have this pack come out. So we've kind of changed everything that we've done ready for these animals, and we already have in our sheep and our donkeys, and now we are getting in little pigs in here in this whole sort of little area, sort of a children's zoo aspect to this bigger, more sort of modern zoo in here. So I've already showed you the back stone wall going in. It's the one we're using for all of this sort of habitat in here. I tend to, because the real life zoo that we've taken inspiration from for this has like groups and it has like zones and stuff, I felt like trying to keep it all included. So like the ravine zone, which we did at the beginning, all of that kind of looks very much like it all fits together, and that's what I really wanted. And the same with all of this, so we're using the same sort of fencing, the same art sort of design style for the builds and things like that everywhere, just to kind of make it look and feel like it's all part of one sort of big project that they've spent all of them sort of money on over time, and they've done a whole zone together. So yeah, that's kind of the methodology behind why this all looks very, very similar, rather than sort of habitats here and there. And there are going to be the odd random habitat that doesn't really fit. It will fit in, but it will look slightly different and things like that. But we'll see those later on. For now. But yes, this is the little fence that we're doing here. I've got to be honest with you, why on earth did I pick to do this fence? It could all just have been one height and it would have been so much more simpler and easier and quicker, but no, I decided to do a 2 size different fence, which meant moving and yeah, anyway, not quite so fun in here, but I felt like it was a while since I showed you how all of this works. So yes, if you haven't seen the other videos, then do check up, I've put a card up in the top corner for you, so you can go and check those out as well in the sort of playlist. But right, to add to the sort of hard sort of shelter and to the staff buildings that we needed around here, I've added a vet building in. The only other one we had was like right at the other end of the zoo, and whenever we get animals from the sort of trading, they normally turn up injured of some sort, so I thought a nice little vet up here would be really, really helpful. So I figured adding that in to the sort of staff area at the back here was really sort of a good idea. And then also having this little fence along the side here, sort of in keeping with all of the sort of limestone kind of buildings that we have out the back here as well. And yeah, we kind of build this area up a little bit, so it's kind of like a little sort of town, because it's like all the different heights and things like that at the back here, which you can see from the paths obviously, but nothing sort of too major, I would have thought. And then also copying this over from here just to get it to kind of fix and fit in with next door, and also it just covers up the sort of the wall a little bit for the animals as well. They're actually really good pieces. I don't tend to use them too much, but they do come in handy for things like that. And then because there was a sort of a split in the roads here, I wanted some sort of barrier, because otherwise, you know what gay people are like. They just want to be nosy, and I figured that they would try and walk down here and see what's going on around the back when you really didn't want them to. So I thought a nice little sort of rope barrier coming in here would be a good way to do that. And then realised that we have these wooden rope pieces, but we don't really have anything large enough to like hold them in place with. So I had to kind of create something to kind of get them to work in here. But that is what we ended up doing, and getting those in here so that it kind of feels like it's a permanent feature in here, which is what we really wanted. And then a little barrier sign here to say, like, you know, this is staff only. Obviously staff will walk down the road anyway. There isn't actually a formal barrier, it's just a sign to say stop going that way. So working on the plaster, I kind of went for this nice sort of soft, sort of stagey kind of green. It's a nice kind of combo in here. I kind of get like a two-tonal sort of green kind of combo going through here. I felt like it was just a nice sort of calming kind of colour in here. I don't really know why I went for this colour, I've got to be fair. It was just one that I picked out, and I thought it worked really, really well for them in here. And they can fully use this hard shelter, so they go in there. There's nothing really major in here, I've got to be honest. It's just a nice, simple little space for them to hide away from people. And yeah, this isn't a walkthrough habitat either, so it's kind of more of a traditional habitat. I didn't really want to do another walk-in habitat. I gotta be honest, I don't particularly like pigs. They're kind of a little bit weird animals. So I didn't really want to have people in here with them. Obviously I know that they can, but I figured just do this as a normal sort of area, maybe for safer for the kids if they're not in here with like little tusks and stuff. So yeah, that's kind of my rationale behind putting them behind a big fence and not allowing anybody in. But I think this whole area works really, really well, and once it's all finished and I have recent plans and I know what kind of animals are coming next and things like that, it should be a really nice, fun little area for sort of kids and sort of adults alike to sort of come and have a look at in here. Once we finish this section, we will do a tour of the whole sort of zoo as it's done at the moment. So you can look forward to that in a couple of episodes time. I'm not sure when that's going to be, but I'm going to try and do this as quickly as I can, because obviously I know we've kind of got like at least one more DLC coming. When or what it's going to be, I really don't know. So we'll have to sort of see, but I feel like I'm going to keep going with the zoo until this zoo's done, and then we'll sort of reassess then what kind of new content, what games we want to play and things like that. So if anybody has any ideas, then do let me know in the comments below. But for the time being, I definitely want to stick around with that zoo in here, and if you're loving it, then definitely going to be playing it here on my channel. Right, this is sort of working on the outside here and trying to get all of this to kind of match in and go for, again, kind of keeping it all in line with what all of the others are. So it looks very similar to the first ones, I've got to be honest, which was not my intention, and it was only when I really pulled out sort of at the end and saw what the others looked like that I thought, oh, this might be a little bit too similar, but I think I can get away with that. So it is a different shade of wood, and because it's a little bit darker, but I think we can work with it in there. Now I've got one of my habitat sort of hard shelter barriers in here as well that I have worked on, so that goes in here. I've kind of put those in off screen because otherwise it can be a little bit sort of difficult and fiddly to get in the right places and stuff, so I've done that afterwards. And yes, working on all of this. Now it is quite time consuming, this bit, so I will waffle about animals. So this is for the Tamworth Pigs. Now these are 1 male and I think 3 females in here. When I was taking the screenshots, I didn't have any babies. For some reason, it just was not really working coming up with babies. So something to look forward to. But my sheep, they've been in there for like maybe a month Like, well, no, probably maybe a little bit longer than that. But there's like hundreds of them. Like, what's going on? Every sort of notification I get is that there's a new baby sheep. It's just like, oh. Anyway, I said it was time consuming. I have jumped ahead to cut out all of that. I've put it all the way around both this hard shelter and also the vet building at the back here. Obviously, that is just a box. There's nothing major to do inside of any of that. It's just a little bit of detail work around the outside and then the roof that we're going to do here. And I thought a nice bright white trim, like we've done on the other building, will just add a nice pop to this sort of roof. And because it is quite a dark wood, it fits in here really, really well, as it just brightens the whole lot up. Yeah, now we don't have any external sort of lighting or anything around here. That is something I'm going to put in at a later date. I've got to be honest with you, I play with day-night cycle off pretty much on all of my games, so for me that doesn't really have much of an impact, but obviously it's something I need to look into, and also getting like security cameras and stuff like that down here as well, because there isn't any so far. I don't really think that's an issue, I've got to be fair. It's not something that's a problem in my zoo, like vandalism and stuff, but obviously it's something that we want to discourage as best as we can. And then copying that roof down in there as well. And now we are on to the sort of actual habitat aspect of this in here. Now I've kind of done what I did at the last one, where we just pull up random sort of hills and bumps and stuff like that to kind of create a really fun kind of terrain work into there. And then we sort of smooth it all out and raise it up and smooth it out and try and get something that's a little bit fun, a little bit funky, and a little bit different in here. I don't want kind of flat habitats so much, and I tend to put my animals higher than the guests, which obviously isn't necessarily good for like viewing them, but I feel like it's such a really cool sort of way to sort of look up at the animals and see them from a different perspective, which I thought was a really nice, cool sort of little trick in here. And then meshing up sort of all of these in, so some long grass, some short grass, some soil and rock and stuff like that in here as well. A cool little trick here, putting in the pathing before I place down any of the food or enrichment and things for them, because then it doesn't have so much of an impact on the sort of terrain work that we have put in already. A little bit of order. Now these ones I did actually double and triple check, and I have moved around some of them from the last habitat. The feeders do all work, they are fed in here properly. I don't know what happened next door. I have deleted all the feeders, I have put them all back in, I have taken away the barrier gate and I've put that back in, and I don't know what is going on, but they are still not feeding out of feeders. They are being fed, the keepers are just throwing the food on the floor, which is fine. I guess it works. It's not ideal, but hey, it works into there. Anyway, back to this habitat. I have got in the big mud bath. I felt like this was sort of like the one item I really wanted in here, because pigs love running around in the mud and getting all dirty and things like that. So that was a really cool feature to put in. And then get that right back slap bang in the centre, right at the front as well, so the guests can see that from sort of their perspective as well. And then a couple of other bits and pieces sort of tucked around the back and things. I did get a lot of rock work in here. Now the animals are fine to use it, the keepers are not too happy. They can't really access a great deal, but they can access all of the feeders and things like that, so that's all fine for them in there. And then more rock work, more little rocks here of the artificial ones to come in to kind of make this a little bit more cohesive and stuff like that. We'll get in the all of the right colours, and it just feels a lot better in there. So yeah, lots of these little ones coming in, and then we also get some of the even smaller ones coming in as well, just to kind of fill in some of those little gaps and make this a little bit more sort of rocky kind of woodland aspect that I really wanted for this whole sort of area. I feel like I've used a lot of rocks in here, but I feel like it works, especially because of all of like the trees and the rock planting that we get in as well. It kind of feels very much like it's supposed to be here, rather than at the moment where it's just a big lump of rock that we get in. We kind of make it all feel like it works together into here. So these, I've actually used the right colour codes in here. So these rocks, like the artificial ones, I've changed to the actual proper colours of the temperate rocks that we use throughout this, because that's the rock that we're mostly using in the zoo. There's a few other ones here and there, but for the most part it is definitely these sort of temperate kind of rocks that are really nice, sort of light grey into there, that really work for what I am looking for. And obviously this zoo is based in North America, and so that's kind of the in keeping with what would normally be there anyway. And now we're just getting some slightly larger ones that just poke up a little bit more through the sort of ground and through the rocks and things that are a little bit more difficult for the animals to sort of climb on. And then here comes the buffalo grass. Now the animals might eat some of the grasses and stuff, but you also see that I go through and I place down some of the dried or even the parched grasses, so that it's not quite so bad. It kind of looks like they've eaten bits of it, and bits of it are dead and things like that, but it's nothing sort of too major. And I feel like these animals wouldn't overly eat the grass too much. I feel like they would maybe dislodge it to kind of get to stuff that's underneath the grass, but not necessarily eat the grass itself. So I feel like that's something we can kind of okay on, especially because these are kind of, I mean, they're related very closely to the wild boar, and actually when it comes to reintroduction, they are actually used instead of wild boar because they're not quite so destructive. So they're kind of like a substitute kind of animal for them, but they are still very, very rare, even though they are domesticated, and they've been around for a while, but they are a definite rare breed because there's not a lot of commercial sort of value in them, unfortunately. So although farming wise they're not really used as such, which is obviously sad, but I kind of see it from both sides, having lived in the country for so long, that your farmers have got to make money, and if the animal is not producing enough money wise, then it is quite difficult for them in there. But anyway, we're now going up to the trees, so we're coming up to the end of this video. If you have enjoyed it, then please give me a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. You all mean so very, very much to me. But for now, you can enjoy the screenshots, and you can also follow me on any and all social medias as well. The links to that are down in the description, so you can join me on pretty much everything. I've got to be fair, Instagram, Threads, Hive, Discord, here on YouTube, Twitch, X, you name it, I'm on pretty much all of them in there, so you'll never miss a thing, whether it's a new video or whether it's a live stream or anything in between. But until next time, I will see you all again really, really soon. But until then, stay happy and stay building. Bye everyone!